On a freezing winter evening, the cold wind blew harshly outside as Martha stood in her grand mansion beside her friend Raymond. They were both looking out the large glass windows at the snow falling silently. Her mansion, sitting right in the heart of Manhattan, was admired for its beauty and luxury. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this. To many, it was a dream home. But to Martha, it felt more like a cage than a castle. The grand living room was full of elegance. Sparkling chandeliers, designer furniture, and expensive art pieces decorated every corner. But none of that mattered to her. She lived alone. Her wealth, earned through years of real estate and business, made her one of the richest women in the country. But no amount of money could fill the emptiness inside her. People always spoke of Martha as the picture of success. They admired her power and fame. They said she had everything. But what they didn't know was that Martha had lost something so precious, so deeply tied to her soul, that all the gold in the world couldn't replace it. Her daughter, Eliana, had gone missing 30 years ago. Eliana was only 7 when she disappeared. It had happened on what was supposed to be a joyful day, a rare break from Martha's busy schedule. She had taken her daughter to a famous amusement park in New York. Martha remembered Eliana's laughter, the way her eyes sparkled as she ate cotton candy and rode the carousel. But the joy didn't last. In a single moment of distraction, Eliana vanished. 1 second she was there, the next gone. Panic had hit Martha like a wave. She screamed her daughter's name, running from corner to corner of the park. Security was alerted. The police came. Every inch of the park was searched. But Eliana had disappeared without a trace. There were no witnesses, no security footage, nothing. Martha's nightmare had begun. She spent years searching. She hired detectives, involved the media, and pushed the police as far as she could. But the world slowly turned silent. Hope dimmed. People began to say, maybe it's time to let go. But Martha couldn't let go. How could a mother stop looking for her child? Even after 30 years, just the mention of Eliana's name made her cry. Her pain had turned into a quiet, permanent ache. In time, she shut out everyone. Her business became her only companion. She worked day and night, building her empire alone. Now, with all her goals achieved and her fortune untouched, Martha had no more distractions, no more reasons to avoid her grief. The mansion, once buzzing with activity, felt like a graveyard. And recently, the dreams had returned. In them, Eliana reached out to her, smiling. But Martha always woke before she could hold her. One evening, she sat in her luxurious kitchen, a cup of instant noodles in hand. She had planned to cook something fancy, but didn't have the strength. Solitude had become her comfort. But suddenly her phone rang. It was her old friend Lydia. "Martha, if you keep sitting in that big house alone, you'll freeze up your soul," Lydia said warmly. "Come out with me tonight. There's a small restaurant I want you to see. It's simple but full of warmth. Trust me." Martha sighed. "Lydia, I'm not in the mood." "Then let me change your mood," Lydia said. "You need people, not paintings." Martha gave a tired chuckle. "You're stubborn, you know." "That's why we're still friends," Lydia replied. "I'll pick you up at 7. A few hours later, Martha found herself sitting in Lydia's car, driving through a quiet alleyway just off the busy Manhattan streets. The restaurant looked plain from the outside, but soft, golden light spilled through its windows, casting a glow on the snowy sidewalk. As soon as they stepped inside, a wave of warmth and comfort wrapped around Martha. The smell of home-cooked meals filled the air. Soft music played in the background. The walls were decorated with photographs and handwritten notes from past visitors. Each table had a small, fresh flower in a jar. "This is the place I told you about," Lydia whispered, smiling brightly. "It's not fancy, but it's full of heart." Martha looked around, unsure. She was used to fine dining, not handwritten menus and cozy booths. But she followed Lydia to a small table by the window. A young waitress approached them with a kind smile. "Welcome. Water for the table." Martha nodded quietly. As the girl turned to leave, something caught Martha's eye. A silver necklace hanging from the girl's neck glimmered in the soft light. And with one glance, Martha's heart skipped a beat. She had seen that necklace before. It looked exactly like the one she had given her daughter. Martha couldn't take her eyes off the necklace. It was a delicate silver pendant, engraved with a name she knew better than her own, Eliana. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her water glass. Her mind screamed that it was impossible, but her heart whispered, "Look again." She kept glancing at the young waitress, whose name tag read Nina. The girl had a calm, cheerful air as she served a nearby table. Her smile was warm, her laughter soft. Martha studied her face. Something about Nina's eyes, her nose, even her dimples when she smiled. It all felt familiar. "Martha, you've barely touched your food," Lydia said, her fork halfway to her mouth. "Are you okay?" Martha blinked, forcing a smile. "Just tired. That's all." Lydia looked at her with concern, but didn't press. Martha returned her attention to the waitress, her heart beating like a drum. Could it really be her daughter? The pendant was no ordinary necklace. Martha had a custom made 30 years ago. Only one was ever created. A soft teardrop shape with Eliana's name engraved on the back. She had given it to her daughter on her 7th birthday, the last birthday they spent together. She tried to stay calm. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe the girl had found it somewhere, or it was remade. But deep down, Martha knew. She knew. Her instincts as a mother refused to let it go. She watched every movement the girl made, as questions swirled through her mind like snow outside the window. When the meal ended, Lydia was ready to leave, but Martha held her arm. "Wait here," she said softly. "There's something I need to do." "Are you sure?" Lydia asked. "You're shaking." Martha nodded. "Just give me a moment." She stood, steadying herself, and walked slowly toward Nina. Nina noticed her and smiled. "Yes, ma'am? Can I help you?" Martha's voice wavered. "That necklace, may I ask where you got it?" Nina blinked in surprise and instinctively touched the pendant. "This? I've had it since I was a child. It's very special to me." She held it gently in her fingers, looking at it with a tender smile. "They told me my mother gave it to me before she left me at the orphanage. I don't remember her at all, but I've never taken it off." Martha's legs nearly gave way. "An orphanage?" she asked breathlessly. Nina nodded. "Yes, I grew up there. I was told I was about 5 when I was brought in." Martha placed a hand over her mouth, fighting the sob that rose in her chest. She had to stay composed, but inside her soul was unraveling. "It's her," she thought. "It has to be her." Slowly, she took another breath. "May I take a closer look at the necklace?" Martha asked gently. Nina hesitated, surprised by the request, but something in Martha's face, something raw and honest, made her nod. She held out the necklace, letting Martha see the back. And there it was, the name Eliana, carved in the delicate script Martha remembered choosing herself. The room spun. Martha's knees trembled, her vision blurred. She gripped the edge of a nearby chair for balance. "Are you all right, ma'am?" Nina asked, concerned. Martha wiped at her eyes quickly. Yes, that necklace means more than you know." Nina smiled kindly, but confusion was written on her face. "It's the only thing I have from my past," she said softly. "The orphanage was kind, but I always wondered who my real mother was." Martha's breath came in shallow gasps. She had waited 3 decades to hear those words. She couldn't stay silent anymore. "Do you know your birth date?" Martha asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nina tilted her head. "April 15th, 1989. "Why?" Martha clutched her chest. That was Eliana's birthday. She knew then, knew beyond any doubt, this was her daughter. She wanted to hug her, cry out her name, fall to her knees. But she didn't want to frighten the girl. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Nina, would you be willing to take a DNA test with me? I think I might know something about your past. Nina looked stunned. A DNA test, she repeated, eyebrows furrowed. She studied Martha's face, searching for answers. A moment passed. Then, slowly, Nina nodded. I've always wondered who I am. If there's even a small chance you can help me find out, yes, I'll do it. 2 days later, Martha and Nina sat in a quiet, sterile clinic. The white walls, the silence, the smell of sanitizer, it all added to the tension building in Martha's chest. She clutched a tissue in her lap, her hands trembling. Nina sat beside her, calm but curious, clearly unaware of how deeply this moment meant to the older woman sitting next to her. When the doctor finally entered, holding a sealed envelope, time seemed to slow. He sat down, adjusted his glasses, and opened the paper. Martha's breath caught. Her heart pounded so loudly she barely heard him when he finally spoke. With 99.99% certainty, the doctor said gently, "You are mother and daughter." Martha's eyes spilled over with tears before she even knew she was crying. Her hands flew to her face. The sound that escaped her lips was a mixture of relief and heartbreak. 30 years worth of grief releasing all at once. Nina sat frozen. Then, slowly, her own eyes filled with tears as the truth settled in. "I looked for you," Martha choked, reaching for her. "I never stopped. Not for a single day." Nina, overwhelmed, let her mother wrap her in trembling arms. For a long time, they just held each other, two souls that had spent 3 decades searching, finally reunited in a simple doctor's office. The days that followed felt like a dream. Nina, Eliana, needed time. It was a lot to take in. She had grown up without a mother, without a real past. Now she had both. Martha gave her space, but stayed close, gently letting her daughter know she wasn't going anywhere this time. One evening, they sat together in Martha's sunlit kitchen, sipping herbal tea. The warmth between them was beginning to feel natural. Martha looked across the table. "Eliana, is there anything you've always wanted to do? Anything you dreamed of?" she asked softly. Eliana smiled. "I've always wanted to open a small cafe. Nothing fancy, just a place where people feel like they're home." Martha reached across the table and held her daughter's hand. "Then let's do it. Let's make it happen together." Eliana's eyes widened. "Mom, that's a big step." "You deserve to chase your dream," Martha said, "and I want to be part of it." Over the next few months, the cafe came to life. Eliana's design, Martha's support, and their shared love. On opening day, a hand-painted sign above the door read, "Eliana's Place." Martha stood beside her daughter as they cut the ribbon. The cafe was filled with the scent of coffee, warm bread, and joy. That night, as they stood outside under the stars, Eliana whispered, "Do you think we'll be truly happy now?" Martha pulled her close and whispered back, "We already are, darling. We've built something real. Together." And under that quiet sky, surrounded by hope, healing, and the warmth of belonging, their story truly began. Let us know where you are watching from under the comment section.